All right, hold on. You're listening in yet, people? This is it so far. All right. Here we go. Episode 1. Clupping the Goods. Starting right now. Come on, man. Smile. It's time for Clupping the Goods.
Live from San Luis Obispo and Temecula, California, Alex Klupper, Bobby Goodsby, they're back. It's time for Clupping the Goods.
All right. Welcome in, everyone. Oh, this feels good. Alex Klupper, Bobby Goodsby, just like old times. Bob, you are, I don't know, a couple hundred miles away, but I can see you. You can't see me because I still have not gotten a webcam here for the sprawling ESPN 1280 studios, but I think we have a good enough connection where you can kind of think of what I'm doing physically, even though you're not right here.
Yeah, Alex, it's good to be back. Good to be on air again. I can't see you because,
Yes.
You have to be able to see this beautiful face, but I don't have to see that face.
I actually made it, a contractual demand that you had a webcam going at all times. That's just...
It's good to be back, though. It's good to be back on air after a long hiatus. We're finally doing it again.
I know. I was thinking about it. When we started doing the Slow Late Show, it was about 5 years in a week from today. We started like April 3rd or 4th of 2013, and I remember our first episode, we previewed the MLB season. For whatever reason, the thing I always think of, I was talking about the Reds, because the guy who used to do it with Joey, he was talking about the Reds and how he didn't think that some of their players were going to do very well, and I refuted him saying, oh, he hit 30 home runs last year. I even know who I was talking about, but I just remember that for some reason. 5 years later, here we are. One of us still in San Luis Obispo, one of us in the beautiful community of Temecula.
Temecula, California.
Are you in what county county is Temecula? Is it Riverside County?
Riverside County.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
But
yes, I'm down here working as a bartender. You're up there, still living the dream.
Still living the dream. My God, every day it just gets better and better. It's a paradise on earth. I'm looking out at the ESPN Radio 1280 official TV. And I'm also looking out the window. It's a nice little sunset going on. Can't remind me too much of the Late Show days because we didn't have any sunsets because we were going 10 p.m. to midnight every darn Wednesday night. And now we're going to do 7:30 to 9:30 every Wednesday night here on Spreaker.com. And we both said, very excited to get this thing going once again. We have a lot to talk about tonight because it's been a couple of, I don't know, has it been 2 years since we last did anything?
It had to have been because, a lot of time has passed. Like I said, I'm still down here in Temecula. You're still up there. But, we talked about it. We were ready to get the show back up and running, and we needed to give the people the entertainment that they've been looking for.
Yeah, everyone. I can't go outside without people saying, Alex, bring it back. Bring it back, bro. My life has been missing the Slow Late Show. I'm like, wait, hold on. But Bobby doesn't even live in Slow anymore. Like, okay, call it Clupping the Goods. And I'm like, wow, that's a great name. They're like, thanks, man. Just put it on Spreaker.com. Maybe start Wednesday, April 11th at 7:30. I'm like, okay, this is way too good. Way too good to be true. And I decided to follow that guy's really nagging, almost harassment level of insistence. And so here we are. Bobby, we have a lot to go through. The NBA playoffs start just around the corner. The NBA regular season is wrapping up tonight. Currently keeping my eye on the Minnesota Timberwolves and Denver Nuggets, which I was kind of complaining on Twitter about that ESPN did not put this game as their first game of the doubleheader tonight. They insisted to go with Milwaukee and Philadelphia instead, which was a 35-point blowout by Philadelphia. But luckily, there is such a thing called NBA TV. They picked up this game because this is pretty much a play-in game. And right now they're in overtime. And Denver currently is down by 1. Minnesota's up 1. And they're currently reviewing whether Wilson Chandler got a tip in or not. So we're going to talk about that. NFL, always on our minds. Bobby Goodsby, our resident NFL expert. He's been tracking down the sources. He's been feeding some of his sources to Adam Schefter, but not all of them. He has some of them here for us tonight. So we'll talk about the off season that has been for my Raiders, for Bobby's Vikings, for the, I guess, local team, the LA Rams, who've had a huge off season.
Huge.
And talk about some draftees that we may like or dislike more than the typical, and go through all that good stuff. Major League Baseball, 2 weeks in almost. I think we started last Thursday. Yeah. So almost 2 weeks when we hit midnight tonight. And Bobby, you know, well, the people know, we know that we always give a good heaping portion of UFC talk on the Slow Late Show and or Clupping the Goods. And we're going to do that tonight because, Bobby, last week in the UFC was one of the craziest weeks that I can remember in the Ultimate Fighting Championship. We thought we were going to have an amazing UFC 223 main event from Brooklyn, New York, United States of America, featuring Khabib Nurmagomedov. I thought I was going to nail it the first time.
I thought you had it.
I know. Khabib Nurmagomedov. There we go. Just a little bit slower, Alex. And taking on Tony Ferguson, which is really might be the number one dream matchup, or at least, top 5 dream matchup for available fights right now in the UFC. And we ended up with Khabib taking on Al Iaquinta. We ended up with Conor McGregor in jail. We ended up with a few guys having to pull out of their scheduled fights because of different ailments. It was just a circus all around. Bobby, did you get a chance to, I'm sure you saw just those things happening. Did you see the fights? And what was just your thoughts leading up to when the card kicked off on Saturday? Because it really was just a bizarre few days leading up.
Yeah, it was very bizarre. It was just kind of a weird way for the UFC to try to get a main card going. Like, not only was this card stacked with potential amazing fights, even the undercard had fights that we've been wanting to see for a very long time. And then that fateful day happened where everything changed. Conor flies him and his goons all the way over here to New York, break into the Barclays Center, throw chairs, throw stanchions, throw whatever they can at this bus filled with fighters inside of it. All hell broke loose, and then our world turned upside down. And it's really unfortunate because not only... Let's start with the Conor side of it.
Yeah.
Not only is Conor such an amazing fighter, we've seen what he can do, how he transforms and transcends into multiple sporting arenas, into not just the UFC fans' eyes, but worldwide fan attention of any sport. He's one of those names that I would say I'd probably put up there as a top 10 names in sports, no matter what sport it is. And to see him just act like a thug and act like a guy that is, I guess I would say seeking attention even though he doesn't need the attention, seeking a fight even though he doesn't need to have a fight outside the ring. What is the point of all this? I get it. One of the guys that was actually fighting on the card, had a dispute with Khabib's camp. There's not really a lot of specifics on the whole interaction between them, but to see, then he flies him and his goons over there, and I'm going to use goons as a light term here.
Yes,
and
a politically correct word for saying these guys are really, really dumb. They're idiots, and they pretty much are just hanging around Conor McGregor 24/7 and doing whatever he pleases them to do.
Exactly, and then gets him over here and does this. He doesn't need to do that. What the heck's the point? The guy's got more money than you and I could ever dream of. He's got more entertainment factor than you and I will ever, dream of.
Don't say that. Hey, this is going to be a entertaining show.
For now.
Yeah, for now, yeah.
But for him to do this, it was just ridiculous. And now, who knows, what the sentencing is going to come down to. I don't know if they've announced that yet. I haven't seen. But just what's the point of all this? And then people get hurt on the side, guys that were fighting and haven't fought in a long time because due to injuries like Michael Chiesa, just stuff like that just shouldn't happen, that really paints a red flag on the UFC when it's kind of been in a little bit of a downturn lately where they haven't had that big fight, and this fights that really brings them back. and now it just kind of puts a damper on the whole entire weekend.
Yeah, it's just what a crazy 180 we went from the beginning of, I guess, Sunday, the Sunday before the UFC fights were supposed to kick off, so 6 days before, which was the day that Tony Ferguson announced that he got injured, and I'll get into that in just a second. But Conor McGregor, I think his main issue right now is a white substance that is not baking soda, it is not salt, it is not sugar. And, you know, if you've seen any of the videos surrounding Conor since he fought Floyd Mayweather, he had the incident in Bellator where he jumped the cage and pretty much stopped a fight that was happening. He confronted the referee, I believe it was Dan Miragliotta, either that or Mark Goddard, one of those big kind of thicker referees. He confronted him because he said afterwards, because he was concerned that the fighter, one of his training partners was fighting in this fight, and he was beating up the other guy so bad he was concerned for the other guy, and he wanted the ref to stop the fight, and he jumped in. Really, he went in because he thought the fight was over and started celebrating like a madman. That's like the first really, really underlined behavior by Conor McGregor where you're like, wow, what? Okay, what is going on with this guy's head? Because you knew he's kind of a showman. Not kind of a showman. He's a huge showman. He likes to have the attention on himself. He likes every camera in the vicinity focused on him and his words and his actions. But this was kind of just taking it a step too far. And then we see, you know, a couple of court hearings that he had in Ireland, and they were for minor offenses. They were nothing like what happened here, where he's being charged with a felony. There was rumors that he had punched someone in Ireland who is a member or at least an associate of the Irish mob, and the rumors were that the Irish mob was putting a bounty on Conor McGregor's head for, I believe, $100,000 because he punched this young man. And when reporters came to the courtroom and asked him outside of the courtroom, you know, what his response to the rumors that, you know, he was having some danger against him, he's like, come and get me. Come on. I dare you. Come and get, you know, just, my God, like, Conor, like, you have to understand that this is real life. And I know it seems like kind of a dream because, you know, 10 years ago, you were studying to become a plumber's apprentice, and then you were a plumber's apprentice. And now 5 years after that, you have made probably almost $200 million in your career, and you're not even 30 years old yet. And it's kind of like a lifestyle shock. And I think maybe that is the biggest thing. And I would say maybe the biggest jump from when someone was 20 to what someone's going to be when they're 30, like in any sport right now. If you think of all these athletes that are huge, high profile athletes, be it LeBron or Tom Brady, or, you know, the list goes on and on and on. These guys knew, or at least had a presumption, that they were going to be very, very wealthy and star athletes. LeBron, you know, people knew when he was 15 that he was going to be insanely rich and insanely good at basketball. Conor McGregor, he was a plumber. He was a plumber's apprentice. He wasn't even a full-fledged plumber. And within 5 years of training and actually becoming a professional mixed martial artist, he is the biggest thing in the UFC, and now he's going to fight Floyd Mayweather for $100 million at least. So it kind of has to come as a shock to him, and I think he's not, you know, you see some of the reactions he has in social media and some of the reactions he's had to different fighters, and you seem like, oh, well, he seems to have it all together. He seems to know exactly what buttons to push to make sure that people pay attention to him. But I don't think he has everything in his life kind of dialed down, and I think you saw what happened, like you said, when he brought in his goons from halfway across the world in Ireland to confront Khabib's squad, who confronted Artem Lobov, who was the guy that they confronted in the lobby of the hotel the night before that fracas happened. It just really, really kind of almost like just a strange Twilight Zone type of thing, where it seems like, okay, this is the moment, this is the VH1 Behind the Music moment where it says, you know, and that's when the rails fell off, you know? And it's just, it's insane that we've come to this, but hopefully Conor can learn and grow and become, you know, a better person from it, because really, if we're going to be honest, like, I want to see Conor fight Khabib, you know, like,
yeah,
is that bad for me to say? You know, like, I just, now I'm more excited than ever to watch